GSL Super Tournament, Season 1.
Welcome to day 2 of the Super Tournament. Tastes and Artosis are back. Day 1 was absolutely awesome. I know I've said it a couple times already yesterday, but Super Tournament, easily one of my favorite events I get to do all year.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and yesterday really kind of showed why as well. Really great games, and best of all, oh my god, my hair's even worse than I thought it was.
You look like you grabbed onto an electric fence.
I know. I was testing my perimeter like a raptor. Holy God.
Wow. Well, look, there's a way to, no, there's a trick. Hold on. Okay, so.
Oh my God.
Don't turn your head to me like this.
What's it look like?
Turn.
What's it look like?
It's bad. No,
Oh.
okay, so face that way.
What about that way?
It's bad. It's bad. Now point your head down like you're looking this.
Oh my God.
Okay, so now point your head up like this.
Here.
Let's hide the hair. How does it look? Okay, that looks better. Wow, when you hold your head up like that, you look, that's a different look for you. I'm kind of used to slouchy nerdortosis. Look at this. Look at that nice jawline you have. Do I though? You do. So, yeah, they did your hair kind of funny today, Artosis.
Well, we have some new hair person.
That's right.
Jeez.
This is great.
God.
I think I was worried about myself, but no, it's all you right now,
it's
man.
It's all me. Happy birthday, Tosis.
Happy birthday to Artosis. It is going to be his birthday cast here. You were doing some streaming earlier today, right?
Yeah,
how was that? We got some lovely donations. I was unable to watch myself, Artosis, or I would have thrown you some coin right there. But now you get the greatest gift of all on your birthday, which is Cassie with me at the Super Tournament.
Truly the greatest gift is to do cast number 7,958 with Tasteless.
Going 8 years strong on this. Yeah. It's good. Happy birthday, Artosis. Send him some love on Twitter. You're truly a committed guy coming down here even on your birthday and casting.
Well, what else would I be doing? Sitting at home watching it?
Well, yeah. I mean, you could do that too. Or you could be out with the family. I don't know. I don't know what kind of birthday guy you are. Anyways, on to our tournament. We have had an awesome day 1. Now, this is a 4-day tournament. So join us, of course, throughout today. But then Saturday, Sunday. On Sunday, we will make a champion. A lot of money on the line, a lot of WCS points on the line.
Indeed. Super Tournaments really had a huge impact on the overall standings in Korea last year. So I expect them to do the same here, of course, as well. I think one of the players that it's really important for them to do well would be Hero, as he didn't make GSL Season 2. So this is a big deal. That's a lot of points, potential points he's going to miss out on there. But, you know, he's sick at the Super Tournament. He won one last year, got second in the other. So maybe he'll be able to make a run like that as well. He'll be playing today, so we'll see about that.
We got a lot of interesting maps, especially Backwater, Acid Plant, and Eastwatch. So, excuse me, this is a best of 5 every match that we have. There is no comeback if you lose against an opponent. This is not like the GSL Codes where we have a group stage. This is like an old school, simplest form tournament bracket. You either live and move on, or you're out.
Yes, it's a lot of fun because of that. And best of 5s, especially, here's the thing, like best of 5 works really well in a round of 16 format. When you hit round of 32, there's too much skill gap in a lot of the players, and it's just stupid 3-0s or 3-1s all the time. But here, it's just like a lot of close, nice games.
So if you are in the studio, definitely stick around when the broadcast is done. We have a lot of cool giveaways, some goodies and stuff like that, some stuff to take home with you. And for those of you guys that are watching from home, don't forget, if you can make it down to our studio here at Samsung we are going to have a lot of fun over this weekend. You are more than welcome to come down and join us here at the Freak Up studio and hang out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't even realize Super Tournament's going on. Well, it's been super empty yesterday, and today it's a bit
kind of
better.
a sleepy day in the studio, But you know, it's crazy how much StarCraft 2 stuff is actually going on right now.
Yeah, normally Codes and ASL, we really fill it out in here, but taking a look at what the bracket looks like so far, Maru Classic, Dark, True. Maru Classic and Dark are everywhere. Like, you can't get rid of these guys. They are everywhere right now. And then you look at the other side of the bracket. I tell you, the more I look at this tournament, the more I think about it, the more I think Rogue is just going to straight up win this tournament, man, to be perfectly honest.
You know, I mean, he won the last Super Tournament, correct? So I don't see why he couldn't do it again. I think it's going to be a great match against INnoVation. By the way, isn't it kind of funny to say that INnoVation is probably not the favorite here?
Yeah, someone said it well, saying, for INnoVation, this is a slump. For anyone else, this is peak performance.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
He's, INnoVation hasn't really... We don't think he's the best Terran in the world right now, and that's a very rare thing to say. Because he's generally considered the best of the Horsemen, and it's clearly Maru is the best Terran in the world right now. I think no one can really argue with this at all, but let's see how INnoVation's doing. If he can beat Rogue, this whole tournament is up in the air. But seriously, if you look at this bracket and you're a smart, reasoning human, Rogue should be the favorite of this tournament overall.
Now we have Zest versus Hero coming up. Hero has been in a little bit of a slump compared to what we're used to seeing from him. Although I'm curious to see how this PvP is going to look. I think there's definitely a chance Hero can still come out on top. I'm not going to be a fair-weather fan with Hero just because he's not performing that well right now. I still think he's easily one of the best Protoss's. No disrespect to Zest, but I think overall that should be a close match.
Well, INnoVation wasn't able to get in this tournament, so Hero definitely has a shot. But Zest Hero, that's like one of the best PvPs you can really have. Hero kind of more of an SOS type player, but Zest is unbelievably sharp in this matchup. Like, he is really good at PvP, so I'm certainly quite looking forward to that. I think that's just as good a match as Classic SOS, to be honest.
PvP's actually become my favorite matchup right now.
Really?
StarCraft. Yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun. Okay. Kind of unpacking each of these games. It's gotten so advanced. It's cool, man.
Okay, like, it is really good right now, but my favorite matchup at the moment is just Maru versus people.
Okay.
Like, especially Zergs, it's just watching him play right now. He's so out of control. It's just anything he's doing, I'll watch that.
So INnoVation, people joke about him being very robotic, whether it be his play style or sometimes his interviews. But he is a phenomenal, godlike Terran player. Yeah. Very straightforward. Generally does not do anything too sneaky, too cheesy. He's just a mechanical genius. Yeah. He's able to push and outproduce.
Make a wish, his shirt says. I wish for you to return to your top form.
All right, the wish has been made. But he's going up against Rogue, who I would say over the last, 6 months, or maybe even 7 months, has just been dominating almost any field he's played on.
Yeah,
minus the recent GSL Codes, but I guess we can call that a mulligan.
This is the most dominating stretch anyone has ever put on. Bonjour status right now, if you ask me, Tasteless. Like, if you actually look at what he's been up to, what he's been winning, what he's been doing.
Yeah.
Really. No one's done anything like this yet in StarCraft 2, especially if he wins this tournament. Okay, like, if you look at this string of tournaments, of top-end tournaments that he has played in, IM Shanghai champion, GSL SuperTournament 2 champion, BlizzCon champion, IM Katowice champion. He did not make it to IM Pyeongchang.
Correct.
Okay, only 2 players made it to that. He was not one of them, from Korea, of course. And then he did not win GSL Codes. So those are the only 2 tournaments that he did not win out of the last...
He's
6
or 7 tournaments.
Yeah.
And when you consider that he's winning more tournaments than he's not winning, that's such an insane statement.
People aren't talking about him. Everyone's talking about Maru. I guess he didn't make it to WESG either, so maybe we could add that.
I think you're right about that. But yeah, I mean, it's important to point out that, like, this is the best player in the world right now, going against someone who people often would debate is the best player, over the past several years. INnoVation.
Yeah, absolutely. INnoVation always is right in that talk, right? But we haven't seen INnoVation dominating anything lately. And even though, like, Rogue kind of keeps quiet and people don't talk to him, or talk about him, rather. I hope people talk to him. That'd be really a lonely existence. But, he should be favored here. And I would give just about anything to see a Rogue Maru finals, I got to tell you. That would be something else.
It's very possible that we could get that.
I mean, Dark and Sue can't take that monster down. We'll see how his ZBT is looking, though, against INnoVation. This is going to be really nice to see what type of form he's in for this tournament specifically.
So we're going to start things out on the map Eastwatch. Again, guys, tell your friends to tune in and enjoy this here. I know there's a ton of StarCraft 2 going on all over the place. We just got back from San Francisco doing the StarCraft 20-year anniversary. StarCraft forever, guys. But this tournament is just so sick. You don't want to miss out on all these great matches.
No.
You got to wait weeks and weeks to get games like this in a GSL Code S. We're just giving you all once. We're spoiling you guys.
That's the five. It's like you got to wait till around 8 for that, man.
Damn right. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Our game's loaded up. This is Game 1, INnoVation versus Rogue.
GSL SuperTournament, Season 1, Round of 16, Match 5.
Those graphics are a little bit imba. You see 2 tanks for Terran, but Hive Tech for Zerg. Ooh, those tanks aren't going to do well.
INnoVation.
Artosis, it looks like we have these new headsets here in the studio.
I think someone just took
Or they just changed the mic
things off, maybe.
Is that what it is?
Generic
I want to adjust the volume here of my
Rogue.
headset. It's a yellow knob here, right? I should check.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
It'll never get old. Now 8 years.
No,
and
I was
Asus asked me
actually
which
about to say
knob it
this.
is.
Here's the thing that is crazy about this, Artosis. I have you so mapped out that I can say one thing, and I know you're literally going to say the exact same thing. Like if I talk about an old game, you will bring up Pokemon. If I mention that I
didn't say
change
anything
the
about
volume,
Pokemon.
if I mention you need to change the volume, you will then say Tasus and literally never gets sold to me. Then you mention that you're going to change the volume and say the yellow knob and break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
I've got you basically mapped out.
Well, the
Except
thing
for
is, you're pre-mapped out with that knob, and it's shocking. Learn the yellow knob, Tasteless. You already knew, too. You knew.
I knew, but
You're
I've
like,
also,
isn't it the yellow knob?
But
It's
I've
like, yeah.
also done this with you before where I accidentally turn up your knob. Because
I get
it's always
angry.
plugged into different things, and then you give me those crazy Artosis eyes full of hate, and then I know that I have to actually...
I do that.
So I kind of have to... What I'm really doing is protecting you from having to
I
experience
get
your
angry when
volume.
things are too loud, actually.
Yeah.
I yelled at Alexa the other day. You know that
That
Alexa
triggers
thing?
you for sure.
You know that
Yeah.
Amazon thing, Alexa? It was playing music too loud in my house. And I go, Alexa, volume down. And then it was still too loud.
You're like, Alexa, volume down!
Like, Alexa, off! Just don't be too loud.
But you should know, Artosis, I'm just going to break this to you right now with all these people around, because eventually, 2 months from now, I'm going to do this again, and you're going to then recite the same lines back to me. But
Is that right?
that is to protect you from you freaking out with the sound.
We'll see about that.
Yeah. Well, it'll happen.
Oh! The
wait a
meta!
minute.
The meta!
That was sick.
Perfect!
You know what's so crazy about
INnoVation's
that?
going to win Super Tournament.
You know what's
isn't
so crazy is we weren't really going to remark on that right there, because normally something like that never happens. That was so awesome.
He finally stopped it. Like we're talking about that exact thing that keeps happening and how the Queen has to walk over, but he insta-blocked the gas. Right? The thing, there's Rogue though being a little bit off. We saw who was it yesterday? It was Dark that just like auto had his drone sitting on the gas, so that couldn't happen.
Yeah, that's right. So
Nice play though.
really cool to see just an opening like that from INnoVation. Now, is this going to change what Rogue's trying to do here at all? I'm curious to find out. He's actually going to send this Reaper in here now, try to get some scouting done.
Let's see if he can get anything else with this Reaper. It's already really done a fantastic job. Look how late this third base is going to be. It's just going up to make it now that his Reaper was showing up in the main base. Now, INnoVation, this is a build that he uses a hell of a lot. Going 3 Command Center with Reactor Hellions. Very safe stuff. Allows him to get into that later game. He's not really going to be able to die to anything. And getting pretty quick macro going as well, which is definitely something you need against Rogue.
For sure. Rogue, at this point in time, has the scariest late game. I don't know if we're going to see that exhibited as much in this series.
I think we will.
I think so.
INnoVation generally goes late game.
Yeah, but he goes late game in a very different, I would say, style than, like, for instance, what we see from Maru. I don't know. I feel like he's going to be trying to push through here. And maybe you're right. Maybe we will have more of that classic Rogue late game that gets exhibited where it's like he's stretching the very limits of what we understand as Zerg.
Yeah. Well, he's getting a Roach Warren right now. He got a decent scout off right there as well. Armory coming up, so definitely some Hellbats will be on the menu here for INnoVation. Is he going to go into mech play, though? That's kind of the real big question for me.
When you see an Armory, you have to ask the question, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like he is going to. That barracks just kind of flying away.
Yeah.
Is the barracks going to go scout or something? Like, normally you keep it to make add-ons, but...
Well, also, it definitely telegraphs that you're not going to be going infantry. But then again, with INnoVation, does he really care about that, you know?
Yeah. All right, so mech is what we're going to be seeing here. A couple Cyclones on the way. Everything looking completely fine right here for Rogue, though. It's not like he's going to take any damage from anything coming out anytime soon.
That's right. Passive game here. We have these 2 add-ons from INnoVation. Looks like he's going to probably throw a couple more factories on there in just a second, as we're going to see things really pick up. Kind of interesting to see him with his Banshee patrolling in that center area.
Yeah. This is interesting, right? Like, maybe because he saw that there's roaches out.
Yeah.
He just wants to, like, go ahead and play defensively here. The Banshee patrolling means roaches won't come that way, and then he's just kind of sitting back, making some Cyclones, adding his factories. He has a very quick 3rd base mining. No 4th base for Rogue yet, and that's definitely something you got to take into consideration.
That's right. We'll see when he decides to take that here. There's definitely a lot of bases you can take on a map like this that allow you to get into a pretty healthy position that Terran can't quite push. Like, this is a very big map overall. So
yeah, it's huge. It's a huge map.
So it looks like now INnoVation's going to be pushing out, and we'll see if this is actually going to do anything too impactful. Rogue is definitely aware this is coming at him, as you can see here now.
Yeah, he's actually chasing down these roaches right now. Does force a cancel on that 4th base, and he's actually getting rid of a decent amount of tumors as well, blocking that gold from being taken with his Banshee and Reaper.
Okay, as you can see here, this push coming in, he's actually trying to commit with this. Some of the Ravager Corrosive Vials coming out, but not quite connecting on top of those Cyclones.
All right, turns his Hellbat around to take that volley and slow everything down. Going to be able to get home with his Cyclones. I mean, you know, he slows the 4th base, so that's pretty quality, but I'm kind of surprised from Rogue's play so far. Like, the thing is, I trust in Rogue and his play.
Being too conservative or something?
Yeah, a little bit,
yeah.
Right? Like, he's just kind of sitting here making Roach-based units, and his 4th base, like, yeah, could cancel, but it's slow getting up again. He didn't really commit to trying to take a 4th anywhere else. I don't know, it's just, it feels a little bit off. It seems like he should already have a 4th mining right now.
Yeah, and also you have to consider, I mean, when you get a late start with doing stuff like that, wow, that actually just happened. Banshee taken out there, kind of a pretty surprising mistake there from INnoVation. But I agree with you, Artosis. I thought this was a little bit curious that Rogue was playing so passive. He might know something about INnoVation's timing with this mech play.
Yeah, I wonder.
And there's some kind of very justifiable reason as to why you want to take it at a very slow pace. But when you look at the fact that there's a 4th command center being made, the 4th hatchery is just now going to finish here for Rogue. I mean, Terran is basically staying dead even with Zerg, which is scary for sure if you're Zerg versus a meching Terran.
Yeah, that seems very scary, but I could see... You know, I want to be careful and not always attribute everything Rogue does to genius play, but his understanding of Zerg late game against everything is higher than everyone else's. So I look at this, I'm like, maybe he realizes that, like, no matter what, he's going to get all these bases. All he needs to do is make sure he doesn't take a bunch of damage early on, you know?
Yeah, that might be it. Also, there's a chance that a lot of other Terrans push in too soon. What was that?
Yeah, I don't know. You got me there, Taze.
I'm going to micro my spore over here. It just gets blown up.
Yeah.
I guess it's better to lose a spore than anything else.
It's better to lose that than the spawning pool, I guess.
Sure, yeah. Maybe it's that a lot of Terrans tend to push pretty quickly with some of these more modernized mech styles, and what Rogue wants to do is actually beat that with that battle Zerg style, where you're basically ready for their push.
Yeah,
you're going to preempt that and just take them out.
There was certainly never a time here where INnoVation could push and do damage.
Yeah, correct.
They're both max now, and INnoVation is starting to move out, but a decent chunk of the supply of Rogue is still being made, and he's pretty heavy on roaches, so...
Okay, so Rogue knocks down the rocks here, try to buy some time. Now he's got to get as big of an army as he can arced around so he can take this on. But, you know, with siege tanks here, Terran can kind of abuse this position, actually sieging up maybe even behind this. Wow, that connected with almost literally everything Zerg had.
Yeah, that was a pretty darn good missile. There's 3 Vipers out right now. I'm sure he's charging them up, but he really needs them for this battle.
Okay, I think Rogue might just die here. He's getting pushed away. The drones are now being evacuated, so he's given up on this position. Hatchery goes down. You know, your concerns earlier on, Artosis, may have been 100% justified because he just doesn't seem to have enough to actually deal with a Terran who doesn't overextend and push too far. And, I mean, he's just taking out that base. It's 4 base versus 4 base right now, and INnoVation is way ahead in supply. Yeah, this is a very weird game that we're watching here. I'm just surprised about, like, everything in every way. Yeah. Rogue seems dead to me. Well, I think that, you know what's funny about this is because Rogue's so good, we're almost second-guessing ourselves. Yeah. Well, about being like, well, this can't be right. Attribute these moves to intelligence or something, and, like, good, like, maybe he has a plan that, like you just have to believe. You know, everything he does is for good. It all has a meaning. There's always a reason, but I don't know. He's just getting super-duper slammed this game. So, I guess INnoVation just rolls Rogue this game. I think we're going to see something better from the next game around. Not the game I thought I was going to see. Congrats to INnoVation, but I'm a little bit surprised by the tech choice of Rogue. It's like he masked up Roaches and Ravagers and then didn't seem to have anything for a maxed out Terran army. You know, Roaches and Ravagers are great early on in a StarCraft 2 game, but if you get maxed out on them, they eat up a lot of supply. You're not really as tough as you look like you are with the numbers at the bottom of the screen. And INnoVation with a much more sophisticated mech army, spellcasters, well-positioned, just rolls it. The only thing I can think is he thought INnoVation was going to try to slay him very quickly because not only was the 4th late, but the Hive wasn't particularly fast. And he was going Roaches the whole time. So, like, you put those 3 things together, it's like, well, you must have thought you were about to be attacked. Well, if you remember, a lot of these, especially since the introduction of the Cyclone in this expansion set, we've seen a lot more fast pushes from meching Terrans. Ones where they don't really use siege mode that much. They just kind of come out, and it seems like some of the Zergs have responded by just trying to have a bunch of Roaches and just fight that head on. But Roach Ravager. All Terran has to do is drag the game out by not really doing anything, staying back and getting a more sophisticated army. And he pushes through and wins. A weird one.
GSL SuperTournament, Season 1, Round of 16, Match 5.
Well, I hope this game's different. I do hope we have something.
INnoVation.
Yeah, well, it's such a different map. They're so much closer. It's a lot smaller and tighter. So I don't think it should look the same in any way, but yeah, I don't know. Like, does Rogue just get slaughtered here because I said that he was going to win the tournament or something?
That's what you do, Artosis.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. I'm genuinely confused about that game.
I'm really shocked. If you covered up that ID and gave me 10 guesses on which Zerg that is, I would never have guessed Rogue.
I would start with, like, Losira.
Yeah.
Looked much more like a Losira or something.
All due respect to Losira, but...
No, he's a very good player.
That did not look like him at all. I mean, I'm really surprised to see a game like that. I guess this is why we give him a best of 5 in the Super Tournament, so there is some redemption here, but that was interesting. Now, is INnoVation going to stay on mech play? I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, he definitely is a player that's very, very good at mech, but he can do anything. Acid Plant is a shorter map, so switching up to ByuN wouldn't totally surprise me or anything. We'll just have to wait and see, as always.
Artosis, you are 35 years old now, right?
That's right.
Is that one of the ages that feels weird? In all seriousness?
No.
What were the ages? By the way, it's Artosis' birthday, guys. Happy birthday, Artosis. You know how there's certain ages you get to and you're like, whoa, I'm that old?
16 was a weird age for me.
Really?
When I was a kid, I thought that I wouldn't live to see 16 years old because I could not imagine myself driving a car. Because I just couldn't picture it in my own head. So I'm like, something must happen.
It seemed too much like a grown-up thing.
Yeah.
I think for me.
No worries, I didn't get my license, I don't think, until I was 17.
I think a weird age for me was like 25, 24.
No,
I guess that's
fine.
the age where it's sort of like, well, you probably were done with college, and you finished college, and you're sort of, there is no marker for what's next, you know?
I had a weird moment where I turned 30 twice. Because, like, I turned 30 one year, right? And I was like, huh, look at that, 30 years old. And then the next year, I was, like, just talking to my wife around my birthday, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm about to turn 30. And she's, like, just kind of looking at me. And I'm telling her, I'm, like, expressing my emotion. I'm like, it's kind of, you know, like, 30 years old. I guess I'm turning 30 years old. And she was like, are you, is this a joke? Like, are you joking? And I'm like, no, what? What? And, and she was like, you're turning 31. And so she's like, what year is it?
You've lost a year of your life in that mindset, too.
And so I thought about it. I'm like, well, I guess there's really nothing to feel weird about that.
I had that same thought that when I turned 30, I'm like, is something supposed to happen now? Am I supposed to have some kind of radical change? It's like, no, I'm kind of still the same guy I was when I was a teenager. Kind of crazy how that works out.
Same build, by the way, that we're seeing here.
That's right. But is he going to float the barracks out to scout early on? So that's what he did last time. By the way, the Overlord sees the third command center there. So, I mean, Zerg's very much so in the know.
Lots of intel. He's playing very differently, though. He's making a Baneling Nest instead of a Roach Warren. Just making some additional queens as well. Second barracks is on the way, so this is going to be bio-based play.
Okay, so it's not going to be anything mech-like at all there. In fact, this game is actually getting a little bit different in every way from our previous game. And so, let's see how Rogue actually handles not meching INnoVation. Do you think anything with the weirdness in that last game had to do with that drone getting killed by the Reaper? Remember early on?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, it shouldn't. Like, I mean, that part was a little bit weird because we normally don't see a Zerg lose that drone.
We're normally not play-by-playing that.
Yeah.
But I think the third was pretty substantially slowed down.
It certainly was. And then the fourth was really slow, too. The thing is, I don't think that Reaper would cause reactions from Rogue as such. So, if he changed up his entire game plan because his third base was slightly delayed,
well, I'm just wondering, because when you get guys like Rogue, the calculus gets so advanced for like what they know they can and cannot get away with, where maybe it is something as subtle as this third base gets slowed down and then it leads to these other various factors, and it sucks, but you might have to play it in a very different way.
They just showed on camera, actually. I can't believe this micro battle this over. It's funny, it took forever to kill that. But they just showed that I think he started a Sporn as natural and it was actually blocking a mineral patch, and he canceled and then built it back further. So between that and the Reaper and kind of the weirdness of Game 1, I do wonder, I don't want to read too much into it, but it's like, is Rogue just a bit off today? It could be. Maybe Rogue is like, there's too much pressure on him right now, right? He's like, Artosis thinks I'm the best, it's his birthday, I want to deliver, I want to win the tournament, and he just can't handle it. He's falling apart. Like, playing into the stage in front of BlizzCon, that's not really that big a problem winning the World Championship. But when Artosis is sitting up I'm up above him, guys. We're up in the loft. And I'm watching him right now. I'm staring at him there. He can feel it. You watch, these medevac's going to do sick damage.
I am wondering, because when by the way, I feel like this style of play the receiver of INnoVation is actually, I think Maro is by far the best at this now. I think it used to be INnoVation was the best.
I think it was ByuN, and then INnoVation caught up.
You think so?
Yeah, I think ByuN was absolutely the best at just double medevac harassment. And this is a little bit different. He went Hellion first and stuff, so it's a bit later, but yeah.
So I feel like ByuN is got the best micro we've ever seen, but it was always in these really obtuse situations. Like, you'd have one Marauder and a medevac kill off way more stuff than it ever should have.
Sure. But if you remember the BlizzCon he won, like, remember him using the medevacs? Do you remember him versus Violet?
Oh, but with the same style where he's grazing around the outside.
Well, he's just like
running in.
He kills him with like 2 medevacs and 16 Marines. Just like straight kills a BlizzCon player. It's like, oh, well, geez.
He's actually, no, I mean, you're right. But I feel like Maro now is I think the best at this in the modern.
Yeah, you might definitely be right about that. We'll see. ByuN has not been making it into tournaments or deep in tournaments very much lately. And I don't know what to think about that exactly. Definitely having a bit of a hard time compared to where he was before, but he's in this tournament, so that's a big deal. Like TY actually lost. He's not in this tournament, which is weird. So TY is normally when these guys are like, oh yeah, he can win this.
So, this push is going to be happening pretty shortly here from INnoVation. He's going to be coming out. He's still grazing around these edges, but I have to say Rogue has gotten some of the sickest creep spread you have ever seen when you have a Terran still doing this style of play. Most of the time, creep spread on the map looks like this if Terran didn't harass at all. So INnoVation has not slowed Rogue down in this regard, and this is starting to size up to be a game that looks more like the Rogue that at least I'm used to casting and watching.
Well, this looks like an actual, real, normal TVZ match, right? Alive kind of played some wonky plays and had a harder time in the later game against Stark, and then Maru, like, remember he wasn't making Siege Tanks against Hydrolink Bane.
Right.
He was just going Marauder Marine, you know, medevac, mine, and it was 4M, as I like to call it. But looking at this, right, like there's actually Siege Tanks being made, and INnoVation's macro up, and he's going to try to hit this and do some damage with it before that Hive is out. And this is like very standard, so kind of good to see.
Let's see how the actual push goes. INnoVation now headed northbound. Going to try to take out some of these creep tumors here. And he's going to try to abuse this position here with a siege tank around this corner so that Banelings can never fully connect like they want to. And he's going to start tearing open the map. Now you got to be careful when you're doing this because Zerg ideally do want to hit you from a bunch of different angles, but I think that this is probably a desirable place to try to push into. Is just to the upper left of where the screen is, where he's scanning now. Try to get this space. Look at where the siege tank's placed. He's so good at this kind of stuff.
Okay, but there's a huge flank coming around. This is going to be a flank from 3 angles. Oh my god, here he comes. Rogue coming in from every side. Lings and Banes everywhere. The Hydra's coming up as well.
Surprisingly, the Banelings not connecting when they needed to be there. It seems like the Banelings came in way after the fact. I like the idea of hitting from literally at 360 degrees, which is what Rogue was trying to do. But the Banelings have to be there at the right time, in the right place, or it doesn't matter if you have a perfect surround or not.
He's still going to kill this off, I think, especially considering his... I think so. He got everything but 1 siege tank, as far as siege tanks go, right?
Oh, man. I think he's actually going to keep pushing through, and the reinforcements come as well. Now, the Banelings are going to come down and drive back the position so he can't hold this, but I feel like with the follow-up pushing, I don't know if Zerg's going to have quite enough to actually hold this. And see, this is not a live play. This is INnoVation play, so the Banelings don't always touch everything. So,
poor Alive.
Sorry, Alive. It is true, though.
No, I know.
Go back and watch the games if you don't believe me. But I think INnoVation might just barely have enough. And you're watching the supply decline slightly here for Rogue. And he never seems to fight enough Banelings.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. You know, that the initial push and the initial flank was just so perfectly timed from INnoVation 2.
Yeah.
It was actually 2-2 versus 1-1. Rogue needed about 25, 30 more seconds to finish up and be on equal upgrades there, and like everything just kind of went wrong. But Rogue has a lot of bases right now. He's actually on 5 bases. Yeah, INnoVation is taking his 5th. But INnoVation's tech isn't really going up very much.
You know
He's getting
funny?
3-3 and adding Marauders, but that's the only other thing.
Something I want to point out on this map, assuming the action doesn't pick up right away. Okay, hold that thought. I'm going to wait until this attack's done with. So he's going to try to come in here again. Now, INnoVation's very good with using the tanks to target down the Banes specifically. Now, look at the minimap, guys. Just real quick here. See this base here? If you draw a line right through this upper third of the map, there's nowhere else that Zerg can really hold, and Terran can take out this space besides that upper right one, which you can harass.
Yeah.
So it seems like if you can take Zerg's base out here, they obviously can't expand to the base that's just to the right of this one, because that can be hit from the high ground. So INnoVation, once again on the defense, Viper's really playing a huge role in actually allowing the Zerg, try to get a little bit more footing here.
He doesn't have enough, though. These Hydras are going to... Oh, I guess not. He just did have enough. I feel dumb, but...
well, I actually thought Terra was going to keep pushing. Again, this game of tug of war, I feel like Rogue's doing a pretty impressive effort of hanging on, but it seems like he just barely has enough now. He takes out this hatch. So now what's Zerg on? Zerg's on 4 base and 5 bases. And I mean, even though it's been back and forth with some of these fights, overall the numbers keep getting a little bit better for INnoVation. Now we have a 40 supply lead instead of a 20 or 15 supply lead. And the base disparity is starting to get, it's now 4-5.
And he's got 3-3 against 2-2. Like, it goes on and on and on.
it's a lot of little things, and it's beginning to add up. Now that hatch goes down, and I can't believe my eyes, man. INnoVation's now going to go 2-0 against Rogue.
Yeah.
And, on some level, I gotta say, well, INnoVation was always overall more dominant than Rogue historically. Maybe INnoVation is once again just reasserting himself here in the Super Tournament, saying, no. Remember, Tasis, you guys have been talking about me for like 4 or 5 years straight, and I'm still here. I'm still INnoVation.
His name is still in the running for greatest of all time in this game.
Yeah.
No question about that. But
by the way, we're at a funny point in time where the medevacs are completely out of energy.
Yeah,
These fights have gone on for so long.
The push has been going on forever right now. Ultras are out, but these Ultras are not dark Ultras. There's not like 100 queens with them, so going to be a little bit difficult for him to maintain them and end up killing, but trying to wait for chitinous plating. All right, so utilizing Parasitic Bomb here, but he just doesn't have enough.
That's it, man. INnoVation is really bringing it today.
Yeah,
maybe it's because he's wearing a cape. Look at that cape he's got on.
Oh my gosh. He should. He is a superhero, basically.
That's the cape that the good guys wear. The light armor on.
INnoVation's a good guy?
Apparently he's a good guy. I would have put him in more of the bad guy category initially, but no. By the way, what a weird series. I thought it was going to be a lot closer than this. I thought we were going to have much better late games from Rogue. And instead, INnoVation with some very straightforward play is just really killing it here.
That push was really good. INnoVation picked the right place. He microed well. He macroed well. He hit with 2-2 against 1-1. There was a lot going on right there. So it looks like Rogue is going to take a quick little breather, which I think is a good idea because, all right, game 1 was off. Game 2, I thought Rogue played well, but he did lose.
Yeah.
And you're going to lose games INnoVation no matter how good you are. I think this is a good time for him to take a breather, maybe throw some water on his face because...
Yeah, I think we'll hit the reset button for sure because this is not the Rogue that we're used to seeing right now. Game 1 especially alarming considering what we've seen from Rogue. I feel like Game 2 was a little bit closer, but INnoVation won in the way that we're used to seeing him kind of dominate with a lot of these pushes. Yeah. I actually learned a lot from watching that last TVZ. You can really see that actually the one expansion that INnoVation was pushing is actually the most important expansion for the Zerg on that map.
Yeah.
Because if you can hold that, the Zerg can only expand in complete opposite directions, and there's no easy way to traffic units either way.
Yeah.
So Game 2, I'm willing to be a little bit more forgiving here, but.
Well, Game 1 was kind of like Rogue played weird and it didn't look that good. Game 2, it was tough. INnoVation played magnificently. Rogue can still win this series.
Sure.
In this tournament. I'm not backing down. He's got this tournament in the bag. Okay, we're going into Backwater next. That is definitely a map Rogue can win. Absolutely, you can get to the late game. You got those 3 bases that are very easy to take. It's a long map. The 4th base isn't even hard. The 5th base, that's where you start seeing the tension.
You know what's funny about this, though, is Rogue didn't perform that well in the GSL Code S. We're back in the same studio. I wonder if it's something about this setting specifically that maybe...
He won Super Tournament, though.
Yeah, but I guess I was saying I was kind of getting more to like recently. Yeah, that's right. He did win the last Super Tournament, but overall he's dominated everywhere else except for assuming that he loses here. This Super Tournament right here, right now, and then the previous matches he played in the studio. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe he's more comfortable at overseas stuff, or more comfortable in front of a large live audience. This is a small studio audience. Maybe I'm psychoanalyzing too much. I don't know, but it's really fascinating that he's not playing the games we're used to seeing right here, right now.
But the thing is, if he holds that first push, that first time he went in and there was just great micro and stuff, if he breaks that push there, I think that game does look standard Rogue and he just finishes INnoVation off 20 minutes later.
I'm still confused by Game 1.
Yeah, that was the one that's really throwing me off. I wish we could erase that one and just have that one embed Game 1. Then I'd be like, okay, this is going to be a great series. Yeah. But right now I'm like, well, Rogue might be a little bit shaken at this point. I hope not. But, Backwater and then Blackpink, this is still doable for him.
So we are now going into game number 3. INnoVation up 2-0. Rogue needs to come back 3 games in a row or he's out of the Super Tournament.
GSL SuperTournament, Season 1, Round of 16, Match 5.
Hear the wildlife on this map. It's really quiet.
INnoVation.
Some weird weird sounding birds.
Yeah.
I'm going to go outside there.
There it is. You heard it again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Generic green wings.
That's a sick mating call.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd mate with that bird, totally.
I know. I'm going to go find that bird right now. So there's definitely a feel for this series. And you know when you're trying to give it your all and it just is not enough in a StarCraft game?
Yeah.
It's almost like you're trying to like lift a really heavy weight or like bench press something,
Yeah.
and then you just feel your body give out. You know, it's like I actually can't push it any further.
So,
there is a limit
like
to how
pushing
much I can
yourself to
do.
failure.
And pushing yourself to failure. I feel like this series for Rogue feels like pushing himself to failure, especially the last game.
Yeah, the last game does.
Like he knows what his opponent's trying to do.
But that acid plant, it's a short rush distance, right? And you've got these kind of tight chokes. This game isn't going to look like that. It's such a bigger map. It's, you know.
Whatever you say, birthday boy.
Yeah. I hereby decree that Rogue will win this one.
Rules.
He'll win this late game and make Zerg look imba late game, and then Black-Pink, probably INnoVation will kill him. He'll kill his 4th base, and then Rogue will lose, and I'll be like, I don't know, whatever. Thanks for cursing him, Artosis.
Yeah, Artosis, you did it again. See, I'm part of the guys, right, Twitch chat? I'm in on the joke, too. We need to keep the memes fresh and constantly changing Artosis.
Yeah.
I think sometimes in the StarCraft scene, people get a little bit too excited about redundant memes that are literally 7 years old. That's just my opinion.
Yeah?
But no, actually, there's been some good meming stuff lately.
Has there?
Some stuff. Well, I guess that's sort of kind of funny proxy pylon, like don't rush me thing. That was popular for a little bit. But then it got really old really fast, and I'm like, guys.
Well, it went over the top, and then it came back around again, you know?
Yeah.
It's like when your joke gets not funny, you have to decide, do I give this up or do I keep going until it's funny
There's
again?
a chance that it can go full circle and come back.
I do that sometimes. It's like, no, we're not stopping. We're going to do it till you
Like
laugh.
some fashion styles, you know?
Yeah.
Like now the beard is in. Now it is really good to look like a guy who could make really good furniture. I'm sporting it right now, but there was a period where the beards weren't that hot.
By the way, okay, so we go to America sometimes for events, and that's basically it. I visit family once a year for about 6 days.
Right, yeah.
And other than that, I'm at events. So we were just in San Francisco.
Right.
And I'm sitting at a bar with Cats and Tasteless. We're just chilling, talking about StarCraft, as of course we always do.
Yep.
And I see these 4 guys walk in together.
We were in the financial district of San Francisco, by the way.
Oh, okay, is that where we were? These 4 guys walk up to the bar and look, and then come in, and they're all wearing plaid shirts. All 4 of them, and they're all friends that work together, clearly, right?
Yeah.
They're all wearing plaid shirts, and then I'm like,
I think plaid is in now.
this is so weird. If
looks
Tasteless
like
and I wore the same shirt, I'd be like, well, that's weird. And then I looked around, and
Everybody in the
everyone
bar
was wearing
had plaid shirts. It looked like somebody had murdered a bunch of picnic tablecloths.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Since this game is going a little bit slowly, I got a quick story, Artosis.
Yeah.
Do you remember, and this is for some of the younger people, they're going to have to Google image this if they're at their computers. Do you remember Jinkos, the pants?
JNCO.
So there was this period where like there were these pants made that like they looked like super bell-bottom jeans or something, and they like kind of covered up your whole feet.
Super baggy pants.
It looked like you had 2 dresses on, one for each leg.
Yeah, something
And I remember
like that.
I was at like, when you're a kid and you got to go shopping with your mom. Like it's like the school season's coming around and you got to get new clothes and stuff. And I was at I think like Dillard's or JCPenney or something.
Yeah.
And I really I'm at that age where I'm like, I don't want to think about what I have to wear. I don't care,
Yeah.
And then my mom's like, look at these pants. These look kind of cool. And I'm like, oh yeah. And there were some cool kids at school that like I had seen wear Jinkos and stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be like one of the cool kids. And so
Oh no!
I told my mom to buy me a couple pairs, and I went to school, and everybody made fun of me. It was absolutely horrible.
I'm so
sorry. It was so horrible.
Well, I got a little counter story to that, Tasteless.
Yeah.
I've never been very good with fashion, so I wore sweatpants to school.
Oh yeah.
For too long, for too many years, and eventually the big kids at the bus stop, the kids in like high school and stuff, started making fun of me for wearing sweatpants. I'm just standing there, my face is getting red, I'm being quiet. Because like I'm wearing sweatpants because they're comfortable and I don't know better.
It's like It's so funny. I remember I was on a bus once and I had a magazine, like a PC Gamer magazine. I'm on the back of the bus. I pulled it out of my backpack. I'm like, okay, I'm going to read about computer games now. Like some kid like looks over, he's like, oh, hey, are you a PC gamer? And he's just yelling it on the bus. And I'm like so embarrassed. I don't even know why. You know when you get embarrassed when you're a kid about stuff and you don't even really know why? Like when your mom picks you up from school, you run in the car like a little bit too fast because you're worried people are going to know that you have parents or something. Like that's somehow embarrassing. Like, oh, no, it's my mom. I can't deal with this.
Totally.
But, yeah, man. Thank God we're out of that phase of our lives, man.
Yeah. By the way, this game looks a lot like Game 1 in a lot of ways. I didn't look at the actual timestamps of Game 1, but it seems like that Infestation Pit is coming up quicker this game for Rogue. He is on that Roach tech, though. And this push is looking a little bit scary here from INnoVation.
The Raven coming up here. The Ravager not quite done.
I have a feeling this
is... to tank!
All right, he actually split okay against that.
Yeah. In fact, he's totally deflecting this. This is really nicely done by Rogue.
Yeah, this is super similar to Game 1, but I think that this type of push is maybe why we saw the Roach Warren from Rogue in Game 1, and because that was kind of scary and stuff.
Yeah, it seemed like INnoVation bluffed in the last game, and then Roaches and Ravagers can kind of fight anything early on. Yeah. Maybe Rogue is being a little bit too aggressive here. He's chasing this all the way across the map, but. So far, so good. Rogue's in a supply blowing up right now. Yeah, I think this we've learned a lot from Game 1 by seeing what's happening now in Game 3.
Yeah, it seems that way. 12 Swarm Hosts on the way, so we'll see how he can do with that. But the double Thor drop coming in, this could be a bit scary. There's not good anti-air at the moment. There's just Queens and some Spores. Looks like he wants to make more Spores, but these two Thors... That's annoying, man. You may as well launch some of these things and just get it to pick up. But, okay, he brings enough Roaches that he can force these away for now. But there's no real way to punish that Thor drop at the moment. There's no Hydras.
No. It's kind of the beautiful thing, right, is that instead of, for instance, having Liberators with Ravagers can directly counter, having little Thor drops, Roach Ravagers doesn't counter that at all.
Yeah,
you're basically abusing the fact that they're running around the map with Roaches. Now, while this is pretty effective, or I should say can be effective against what Rogue is doing, I gotta say Rogue's creep spread on the map makes it really hard for me to imagine an effective push ever coming out here.
Yeah, well, this is why I feel like, that second game is definitely, it's just so much closer. Backwater is a better map for someone like Rogue that wants to get that later game. Now, the Stormhost coming in, gets some serious value from that, actually. Picks off multiple siege tanks. And, I mean, that's a good start right there. The Thor drops are still flying around, getting a little bit of damage here and there. They get a Queen here, a couple drones there, maybe. See him killed a few Roaches, but the Swarm Hosts seem to be, kind of keeping Rogue in that damage fight right now. That damage race.
Well, INnoVation's looking for an opening. Rogue actually maxing out, I think it's definitely a game that Rogue can take, man. I think Rogue's game plan to just try to chip away the Terran. Hold on.
If he's to win this game, it's definitely going to take a little bit from here.
It's going to be a long-term plan.
I like this, though. Bringing the Roaches up with the Swarm Hosts. The Locust can take a lot of this.
Also, here's the thing is that you don't want Roaches for the rest of the game forever, right? So this is a really effective way to maybe lead them off a little bit.
Sure.
As you're remaxing out on other units.
Yeah. He's getting his Spire and his Hive, so it definitely looks like he's going towards that Sky Zerg. Continuing to make Roaches, a good way for him to max out. As long as he's trading with Locust Roach into the mech and keeping the mech pretty low on supply, this works out pretty well for Rogue, I would say.
And also, you have to keep in mind that as long as Terran's not growing too much, this is working. You're creating no man's land that's even way past your creep with these Swarm Hosts. Now, this is a pretty big drop.
Yeah,
and this is probably one of the most decisive moves we've seen in this entire series here. But a Rogue appears to be completely ready for it. And I think one of the reasons why Swarm Hosts are especially good on this map is for this exact expansion over here.
Oh, yeah. This definitely.
Normally, Terran feels really safe having a base over here, and the Locusts make this base actually much, much, much harder to hold. And that keeps, if you can keep hitting that location, Terran's basically on 3 bases this game instead of 4.
That's a good point. Losing a lot of mining time, losing a few buildings here and there and SCVs. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Forces him to bring this back over, slowing it down even more.
But INnoVation's going to try to push out here. Now, did Rogue stay on Roach Ravager for too long?
Well, he has his Swarm Host actually coming in. This is going to really wreck. Look at this. All over the Locust. Get on top of these Siege Tanks, get on top of the Thors. take out a few of them, and as long as he's forcing them to siege over and over and launching out these locusts every time that he has them, I think he holds on.
Yeah, I think INnoVation's army gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and of course the Swarm host can just keep retreating back here.
And look at it, the Biles are really doing a lot of work as well. You know, the mech is so clumped up, it doesn't micro as quickly, getting a serious amount of damage in there.
And now we have this base being lifted because of that link counter attack. 13 SCVs down as well. The Swarmos are still over here.
Oh, man. Yeah, but there you go. You're going to have another Locust launch coming out right now. 17 Mutas on the way. 17 Mutas. He has a Greater Spire, and he made Mutas. I love it.
This is very smart because it's going to completely deny this push. Of course, the Locust's already cleaning that up beforehand.
He loses a hatch here, but he's going to pick off all of the tanks, all of the medevacs with these Mutalisks.
I think INnoVation's got to tap out. This is not the way you normally see a Terran win from here, is when he's dropping just tanks with medevacs into an expansion.
Well, everything gets killed by Mutas, right?
Yeah. Now, that being said, he actually killed off 20 drones in that fight.
He has a lot of Mutas out with 3 Thors on the way, as well as additional Vikings. I'm not sure how efficient and good the Mutas will be, but the Swarmos have free reign once again.
Yeah, no, I mean, this should be the killing blow for sure.
Yeah.
There's just not much else that he can really do. The Mutas completely shut down everything. There just wasn't enough anti-air, especially those Vikings that were killed off. You got to remember how slow Vikings really are.
Yeah.
They can never really run away that far. And so these Mutas are just going to clean house. Thors are coming out, but already Locusts spilling in along with these Roaches, just doing too much damage.
Those Roaches just kind of walking around wherever they want. Look at this, picking off the command center as well. Now this game is a lot more like the Rogue I know, love, remember, cherish, look forward to in the future, and enjoy presently.
Well, this is the Rogue I'm used to seeing. I'm used to casting these tournaments that he's winning here. But of course, INnoVation, you know, having that duo lead initially, he has some room to try to experiment with various strategies. So maybe we're going to see a bit more of a mix-up here. Bear in mind that Rogue did go for Roaches and basically countered the early mech push that INnoVation did. So INnoVation has a little bit more intel, a little bit more information that he's gathered here to try to respond to this.
You know, if this was a smaller map, INnoVation might have been able to take this game though, right? There was a couple pushes in there that were pretty scary that he held, but it was like held at his natural base. He even lost his natural hatchery once, so.
So we're still waiting for INnoVation to tap out here. Rogue now doubling in supply. But I guess he wants to just try to stay in this one. I don't know, man. We're just watching a guy die very slowly here.
Well,
but I am happy.
I think we watched him die pretty quickly, and now we're watching him hold on barely, very slowly.
GG. We'll now move on to game 4. Rogue definitely delivering there. You know that little break he requested? Each player, by the way, guys, is allowed 1 break. We kind of encourage him not to do it because we have so many games to go through there, but I think that break actually paid off. He got up, walked to the restroom, I splashed some water on his face, said, all right, pull it together. Oh, Rogue.
He certainly did pull it together. That was his best game so far, his first victory, so we'll see if he can keep this up. Our next map, Black-Pink. It's a pretty big map, but the 4th base is very pushable, and that's generally the tension spot in this matchup. We see a lot of Terran pushes on that 4th. If the Zerg can hold the 4th and stop that big push, that's where the game is won and lost most of the time here.
Our players are joining into the lobby now. Oddly enough, INnoVation so far upsetting Rogue. He's in the lead. INnoVation, someone historically we're always citing as the very best, but with Rogue's recent performance in many, many tournaments, including our previous Super Tournament, we're looking at him and saying he's the best in the world. But right now, he has to come back and win 2 games in a row against INnoVation, who has historically been dominant throughout years and years of StarCraft 2.
All right, he's got to win this, man. I want it.
Our game's loaded up. We're ready to go. Let's go to game 4 now. INnoVation versus Rogue.
GSL SuperTournament, Season 1, Round of 16, Match 5. INnoVation. Jin Air Green Wings, Rogue.
You know, I don't expect INnoVation to do anything too crazy like Rush. You know, INnoVation in some ways has sort of filled in a lot of the shoes of Flash, you know, from StarCraft 1 with his play style is just being really good at late game. But I'm curious if it would be worthwhile for him to do something a little bit more out there against Rogue.
Like proxy racks or something.
You know, like for instance, Morrow, you could definitely see Morrow proxying. We even saw him do that in the games we casted yesterday, whereas INnoVation is more stereotypically trying to go for an ordinary late game. But I just wonder if that would be good for him to do. And also keep in mind, even though we talk about Rogue having like really great macro, Rogue was beating Classic with that crazy Nidus rush in Katowice and for the Intel Extreme Masters. You know, I mean, he'll actually do some crazy all-in builds.
Totally.
I think Rogue is, I would say, overall a more well-rounded player than INnoVation. That doesn't mean that one's better than the other, by the way, guys. I mean, a win is a win. You do what you can to produce the results you need.
Yeah, we haven't seen INnoVation cheesing so far in this match, but I do want to point out he has been mixing in a bit more. We did see him a few times adding in more proxy racks and stuff.
Right.
And of course, you know, you need to have a pretty full range if you want to be winning a ton of tournaments. So I definitely agree. I think that maybe Catalyst would be a great map to finish that up on, right? Like if we hit map 5, maybe that's a good map for the proxy racks.
Sure.
A lot of places you can hide them, but Rogue is pretty careful about his scouting and all, so maybe INnoVation just feels like this is his best chance against Rogue. Like INnoVation knows that likely he's not going to get cheese too hard here. There's not like a ton of great Zerg cheese against Terran early on, especially against INnoVation, who always goes like Reactor to Hellion and into a Banshee. That holds against almost everything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely correct about that. You know, with these games, I guess game 2 was probably the one I most think of, like what I was expecting for games to look like here.
Yeah.
INnoVation actually pulling through and me thinking, wow, he really is a great pushing Terran. I think that a lot of game 3 really did come back to the fact that Rogue actually made those Roaches and Ravagers, and INnoVation did what Rogue expected him to do with the mech push, which is actually attack out too soon. I think we really do need to rethink how we think and talk about mech, because mech always historically was like a very slow defensive style.
Yeah.
And with Cyclones, it really isn't like that anymore. It's like just an alternative unit composition.
Yeah.
You could just push out, and these are not units that you have to siege up. Tanks are, sure, but if some of these games, they're not even really making tanks at all. They're just making robot units. It is just they're mechanical.
Bunch of robot units.
Yeah. It is
even the cars you turn into robots.
Because, you know, meching started in Brood War, and Brood War units, generally speaking, you had to like set up. They did a lot of damage, but things would fall apart. You're kind of building little positions on the map. It's much less fluid, but when you get a position, it's harder for the opponent to reclaim it. And StarCraft 2 mech started out like that as well. But once we got to Legacy of the Void, it sort of changed. I mean, things are much more fluid on the mech side. And it's much less about always trying to hold the position and more about having just a different unit composition that distributes damage in a different way.
Do you like that? Like, I guess my overall question that I'm looking at from you is the Cyclone is what allows that. Do you like that about the Cyclone? Do you think Cyclone's in like a really good spot?
I'm fine with it because I like the fact that unlike in Brood War, where like things are just the way they always are, you know, even if we come back and the meta's shifted in Brood War, you give us a couple games to kind of got our footing again because everything statistically, all the stats of the units are the same, the cost, you know, it's more about what maps we're on and what the meta is. Whereas in StarCraft 2, I like the fact that the game was constantly evolving.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with it.
You're fine with it.
I mean, it's not what I'm used to, especially for someone who's been working in StarCraft for a long, long, long time. I'm kind of used to, in my head, thinking it that way, but I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's cool that StarCraft can keep changing and you know.
Yeah, it gives you a different flavor.
People that were really, really good 3 years ago and stopped and come back, their skills don't exactly just make them automatically good now. You know, they have to learn a new meta. Yeah. And that's why new people can come to StarCraft and kind of dominate if they get enough of a hang of it. But you got to keep up if you want to be good.
Certainly.
Does that answer your question well enough?
Yeah. I mean, you went on your own little side adventure there, but it was good.
Yeah. It's like, when I was saying it, I'm like, wow, I'm kind of like just doing my own thing over here. But
like, what's your favorite color taste? Listen, you talk about the philosophy behind life and stuff, and I don't really know your favorite color, but I'm like, all right.
And I'm like, blue.
You're okay with the Cyclone is what you...
I'm okay with it, yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't think you weren't okay with it.
What if I said no? What if I was just like, I'm here to make a stand?
Yeah. It's time. We can't put up with these Cyclones anymore. So, once again, this is that quick 3cc mech build from INnoVation. The Roach is coming out. This Roach play, once again, from Rogue. His creep spread looking very, very strong right now. The fourth base is where the creep spread is a little bit off, so we'll see if that's where INnoVation goes with this push. Now, when I was talking before about the fourth base pushes that happen a lot in Blackpink, that's with bio-based play against Zerg. So this is a different situation. This isn't exactly that. Like, we might see him do a little push over there, but I don't expect to see a fourth base die. Absolutely not.
No, I don't think so. Rogue looking very Rogue-esque, man. Just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The creep spread again, just beautiful.
He's going to go Swarm Host, do you think, again? He got the Infestation Pit, but he's also getting a Hydra Den and going Hive right away, so I'm not sure that we'll see the Swarm Host here this time.
He might not. You know, one of the funny things about when we see him go for Swarm Host is it doesn't seem like there's the easiest direct counter for it, you know, for the Terran. It's definitely a tech, but as long as you can kind of run around and harass with it, it can do a decent amount of damage. I mean, I guess they can try to get Hellbats and just try to melt the Locust as much as they can.
Yeah.
But you can always just play around that and attack locations where the Locusts aren't.
I like how Maru does it with Speed Banshees. Like, the second that you are not looking at them, he's like, oh, I'm going to kill a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. It's a very cool response to it. Well, the funny thing about Swarm Host, too, is if they don't do that much, they can pay off for themselves over time in huge dividends. But man, if you could just surprise them and take out those Swarm Hosts, I mean, the amount of supply they take up and just how quickly they can be gunned down is incredible as well.
I really want them to at least pay for themselves and hopefully do more than that, because it takes a long time. There is some sort of risk involved in going to those. But right now, INnoVation, you know, he's trying to harass a little bit here, not really getting too much done with the Hellion drops.
They're macroing up very evenly. Yeah. Basically tight in supply throughout this game. So we're about to the point of tension here where Terran is probably going to have to try to push into the Zerg. I don't think that Zerg really wants to try to attack into this meching Terran.
No.
It wouldn't make any sense.
Like, if he gets... The thing is, he's getting his Hydras out right now, and he's getting his Vipers out right now. This really seems like a defensive force to start with. To attack into a siege position will be very, very difficult, but as this comes out and starts hitting his creep and stuff, and if it moves too quickly, I mean, you hit a few good Viper spells here, and you should be able to crush this, I would say.
Okay, a scan comes down here, and honestly, Rogue can't really get a very good angle here. I mean, he could try to fight, but once the tanks siege up, he has to try to stay out of that range.
Well, just forcing it to siege is actually pretty nice. He's buying a lot of time for his Vipers.
Yeah, well, also, you have to keep in mind is that whenever you're dealing with siege tanks, if you can force them to siege and then run away and they're not over your hatchery doing damage, you kind of won, because you're just buying time.
Yeah.
Once the siege tanks get in range of a hatchery and start doing damage, then Zerg's on a clock. They have to figure out how to stop this push or counterattack or do something, or they're going to lose the game.
Right, these Vikings and Thors are going to be really crucial here. Can he keep the Vipers off of these siege tanks? If he hits two good blinding clouds, he will wreck this. Let's see.
Okay, we don't have those coming down just yet. A lot of damage dealt.
Yeah.
But without those blinding clouds, there's no way the Hydras can actually get to those tanks in the back.
I was staring at the siege tank, so I didn't even see. Obviously, there was a anti-armor missile. Did he hit an interference thing on those? Like, how did he not get any spells off?
I didn't catch. I was so busy staring at the siege tanks in the back.
Yeah.
But INnoVation can keep pushing through here, and this is getting a little bit scary. Now, Rogue had banked up enough that everything he re-macroed out, he's basically maxed out against. Terran's getting better position, and now he's actually nearly to the point where he can cut off these two bases. Now, this arc here is pretty sick. Some of the Vikings coming into the front here to try to tank some of this damage from the Hydras, and this is too much.
Dude.
And INnoVation is just in a much more elegant fashion pushed through here, and this is going to be kind of a crazy turn of events here that INnoVation's going to win this 3-1 against Rogue.
Yeah.
Just off the back of Rogue winning everything.
Just those three Vipers had to hit blinding clouds, and they didn't, and that's it. Okay, so INnoVation looking very good.
Okay, that happened.
Very sharp victories in games 2 and 4.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that this is how the series looks.
Well, the games as well. The way the games panned out minus Game 2 was kind of surprising.
Game 4 felt, I don't know, Game 1 and 4 felt a little bit weird from Rogue, but I guess it was the same type of thing.
Right.
And here we are.
Well, we just have to keep watching INnoVation and see how far he can go.
Yeah.
He did look really good. But Rogue, especially in that last attack, Game 1 and Game 4 were, I think, the weird ones out of the series,
well,
you know?
Game 4, like I think watching his style over time in the series, I kind of get what he's trying to do. It's just something happened to those Vipers. It must have been an interference drone or interference matrix, whatever we call that thing.
The way that INnoVation plays and the way that Rogue plays seems to make for really interesting games that are not like the normal games we get to cast because they're both macro beasts. So in that last game, they're both macroing up so fast. We saw the supplies basically tied. They're growing. Not really doing that much harassment to each other. And then it comes to this one specific timing where apparently if they're both playing like that, you have to have the blinding clouds. If you don't pull that off.
Well, Roach Hydra's not beating that many tanks, man. No way.
Yeah, especially the way he had those tanks set up. And the games don't have to look like that, but when you have two guys macroing that hard, it seems like one moment like that, if you mess it up, it's a landslide.
INnoVation really
you just get rolled over by Terran mech units.
He really dictated that game. It was very well done. Sad to see Rogue go, but having INnoVation looking strong is very nice. Like maybe he goes ahead and wins this turn. We're like, oh, okay, INnoVation's still there.
Well, also INnoVation's someone who's constantly reasserted himself as being a dominant force in StarCraft 2, no matter who's on top, and we're seeing it again here today. So that does it for our first best of 5. The PvP is coming up next, right?
That's right. That's right. Zest versus Hero. That's going to be awesome, obviously.
Yeah, I cannot
Two
wait
of the best
for
PvP
that.
players.
We are going to go to a short break. When we come back, our next best of 5 here at the Super Tournament.